It's my pleasure to welcome you to New Rochelle City Hall. I'd like to introduce some of the dignitaries who are with us, our county legislator, Damon Marr, State Assembly person, Steve Otis, Chuck Strom, the city manager, Councilwoman Yadira Ramos-Herbert, who will speak in just a moment after me. And if you don't know already, you will discover she's a much more dynamic speaker than I am, so I'll be brief. And this young lady I'll say a little bit more about in just a moment. And I do want to begin by sort of acknowledging the difficulty of organizing an event like this. Ordinarily, we would want to spread the word far and wide and encourage as many people as possible to come here and join us. But we're cross-pressured by the continuing prevalence of COVID-19, which makes it difficult for us to have mass gatherings. So I'm grateful nonetheless that we have so many colleagues in government and community leaders who are present with us for this occasion. And particularly, I'm grateful that Brianna is here because it is thanks to her that this event is occurring. About a week and a half ago, Brianna sent me an email. We'd never spoken together before, although I only learned today that I know her family already, but I didn't realize that until this moment. And she said we should have a flag raising in recognition of Juneteenth. And I think there's something wonderful about the fact that here we are, a city of 80,000 people, and yet it's possible for a young lady who's at New Rochelle High School to get in direct touch with a public official, not a lot of layers in between, for a message like that to actually be read, and then for things to happen as a consequence. So thank you, Brianna, for getting the ball rolling on this occasion. And I think this is a moment that has significance beyond the mere symbolism of raising a flag. Juneteenth is an occasion that, for many of us, has been observed with enormous historical resonance for generations, and for many others of us, has passed year after year with literally no awareness or notice. And the fact that there could be such a huge gulf here in our community, a community that prides itself on diversity and inclusion, a community that has such a remarkable heritage of black leadership, the fact that that gulf can exist illustrates the gaps in our experience and in our perspectives that make it more difficult to stand in each other's shoes and truly appreciate the challenges that shape each other's lives. But maybe that is beginning to change. And the fact that we are observing Juneteenth officially for the very first time here at New Rochelle City Hall, and the fact that many people are doing the same all around the country, is an illustration of that change. And so I hope that this occasion can be not just a remembrance of an historically important event, the last slaves being informed of their freedom in Galveston, Texas, but even more can be a symbol of our commitment to the enduring challenge, the ongoing challenge of creating a community and a nation and a society that is more just and more equal and more fair to every single one of us. And it's in that spirit that I wish all of you a very happy Juneteenth. Thank you. And now Councilman Ramos-Herbert.
So thank you everyone for joining us this morning. To just echo a little bit of what the mayor said, I think what's beautiful about City Hall acknowledging Juneteenth and other businesses, corporations, institutions is I think oftentimes in this country, African Americans sort of have a dual identity where you sort of celebrate some holidays and then in your own little community celebrate holidays that affect the African American community. But now we're acknowledging that African American history is American history and should be celebrated on equal and level playing fields. It's not a separate date. It's not something you just celebrate in churches or in your backyard. This is our history. This is our culture. And we can celebrate the joy and pains of what that means. So because the flag might be, I'll fully concede, was new to me, CNN did a really great article this morning just describing the different components of the flag. So I thought I might take a second and just read through what the different elements are. So the white star in the center of the flag has a dual meaning. For one, it represents Texas, the Lone Star State, It was in Galveston in 1865, where Union soldiers informed the country's last remaining slave people that under the Emancipation Proclamation issued 2 years earlier, just think about that, they were free. But the star also goes beyond Texas, representing the freedom of African Americans in all 50 states. The burst. The bursting outline around the star is inspired by a nova, a term that astronomers use to mean a new star. On the Juneteenth flag, this represents a new beginning for the African Americans of Galveston and throughout the land. The arc. I would think the red here. The curve that extends across the width of the flag represents a new horizon, the opportunities and promise that lay ahead for Black Americans. And finally, the colors, the red, white, and blue, that represent the American flag, a reminder that slaves and their descendants were and are Americans. June 19th represents the day that enslaved Black people became Americans under the law. And while African Americans today are still fighting for equality and justice, the colors symbolize the continuous commitment of people in the United States to do better together and to live up to the American ideal of liberty and justice for all.